Good morning and welcome to day 7 of my Veganuary experience. This will be a fairly short video. I was really busy yesterday, started a new job, so that was all a bit intense. So I didn't really get much chance to do some research that I was hoping to do. So I'm hoping to remedy that over the next day or so. So a couple of interesting things really. I mentioned the other day that my wife had made a shepherd's pie, cottage pie dish that we really rate and like. So it is from this book, which some of you may recognise. It's the Bish Bash Bosh Green Book. I think probably got them all. There seem to be an awful lot of their books on the kitchen shelf. And it is actually their shepherd's pie recipe. So I have to say, do really rate that. The other thing was a very good friend of ours works at the co-op locally, and she's started sending us some details at the co-op. I'm doing a whole load of stuff for Veganuary as well, so probably we'll investigate that. We do like the co-op for all sorts of reasons. So it'd be interesting to see what they do, because traditionally, certainly we found with the co-op tends to be smaller stores, so they don't have big Tesco-esque type, massive superstore things. They tend to be, smaller stores in town. And we noticed they didn't really have much of a vegan range or plant-based diet range. There's also Tesco's near where we live, a small Tesco's, and although it's a relatively small Tesco's, they do have quite a few plant-based ready meals, etc. So be good to see Co-op joining their party and see what options they have to offer. As I mentioned, it was my first day at work. I had to go and spend the day with my new boss, which was an absolute delight and a pleasure. He's a really great guy, and he treated me to lunch. He lives right near a little town on the Rotherham Barnsley border, so he looks like he's a fairly regular customer at a local little cafe, which was very pleasant, lovely little space. I didn't make a big deal about being vegan. There didn't seem to be specific vegan dishes on their menu. I guess I could have asked, but it was fairly easy because they did jacket potatoes. That's always a good fallback. That was with coleslaw. Again, I didn't delve into whether the coleslaw was vegan or not, but generally it is. So I'm sure that's fine. They did baked beans as well, so I could have had that. So that was all fine. So I suppose that's typical of local little cafes. I do remember once we went to, we were going to go to a little cafe in the same town where we buy our veg. So I think we'd been veg shopping. It was getting towards lunchtime. We thought we'd go and get some lunch at the little cafe there. And we really like supporting these little cafes. I'd rather eat there than the big chains or whatever. I like to keep my business local and spend money with local businesses. And disappointingly, they had nothing vegan on their menu at all. I don't even think they did jacket potatoes. That was really disappointing. So they said, oh, we could, nip to the local shop and get Linda McCartney sausages or something like that, which anybody who's tried Linda McCartney vegan sausages will know how enticing that was. So some of these small cafes could really do with just put a little bit of thought to it. Jacket potatoes, how hard's that? Really. And good for you as well. So I think if you eat them with the skins on, there's lots of good stuff in there. So yeah, people should think on it a little bit. So yeah, that's probably it for today. I need to sort out which of these blood tests I'm going to go and get done, because otherwise I'll be so well into January that it seems a bit pointless having the first blood test done. So that's certainly something I need to try and sort out today if I can. The other bit of interesting news actually is my wife's older brother. We were chatting about being vegan, and it's a bit of a discussion topic at the moment within the family, and he announced that he's been detected as having the first stages of type 2 diabetes, and similar ages as me, 50 something. You know, I guess we're all at that risk area. And I wouldn't say he eats unhealthily, but I don't think he really thinks about his diet, probably like the rest of us. You know, everything in moderation, we should be okay. And he's obviously now had to start thinking about it. And he's actually just started a slightly different phase in his career, and he's going to be working overseas for 6 months. And I think really, new year, new start, bit like myself, thought, need to have a think about this. So he went shopping yesterday and deliberately didn't buy any meat, didn't buy any dairy, looking at fresh fruits and veg. So great. I hope that really works for him. I'm not saying everybody's going to convert to a total plant-based diet. I think I live in the real world. I think some people will, and that's absolutely fantastic if they do. I think for a lot of people, they'll just make a plant-based diet more of their diet than meat. And I always say to people, if you are going to eat meat, try and find the best quality meat that you can get. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that later on in the month, because I'm going to reveal something about myself and my wife, which you may find slightly astonishing, but I'll mention that a little bit later on. So, you know, perhaps we might end up in a world where people have a predominantly plant-based diet, but just with a small amount of meat, but, you know, that meat will be from probably better sources than an awful lot of the meat that we consume comes from. And I'll unpack what I mean by better at a later stage. And I know that's probably a controversial word, because many people will say there is no better meat, all meat is bad for all sorts of reasons. And I absolutely understand that argument. And once you understand where my wife have come from in all of this, you will understand that we're not being hypocritical. We really know what we're talking about when it comes to meat production. So have a great day, and hopefully you will have been encouraged to think about plant-based diet, and we'll see you tomorrow.